All right, next up. Is the term redskin an insult? That's what some professional grievance groups claim, demanding that Washington's football team remove the so-called slur from its title. But a Smithsonian scholar says the word isn't offensive or wasn't always offensive. Ives Goddard concluded that the word redskin was first used by Native Americans themselves in the 18th century. Needless to say, it was not considered an insult. This is a fascinating piece in the Washington Post today. I would say, of course it was not an insult originally. And in fact, I think, if you look at the polls, most Native Americans, most American Indian groups are not offended by it now. This is just another reminder that there are groups in our society that feed off grievance and unhappiness and strife and conflict. That's where they get their money. That's where they get their reason for being. And we should ignore them. And this is just another reason to ignore them as they pipe up.
I don't know a lot of Native Americans or American Indians or whatever the politically correct term is for them now. Right. But I don't imagine redskin is considered a very complimentary term. And if you look at the history of the United States, maybe the only people who had it worse than black people in this country were the Native Americans. Yes. I mean, there were genocidal policies. The state of California had a genocidal policy. The first governor of California wanted to solve the Indian problem by giving bounties to proof of Indian deaths. I mean, this was genocidal policy in this country. Mount Rushmore was built illegally on the Black Hills, which is a Sioux Nation holy site.
There's no question that a lot of Indians got the shaft.
Yes.
Nobody's debating that.
And that's why we have an equity now.
Over the term redskin. But you have revealed exactly what the debate's really about, and that's guilt. It's about guilt. Well, no, we feel bad as Americans about what was done to the American Indians and what has become of the American Indians, for that matter.
Yes.
And so we transpose that onto this term. We think, oh, they must hate the term redskin, right? Because it sounds bad. Well, it turns out it was never meant as a derogatory term, and maybe there are bigger problems the Indians are facing now.
Affirmative action is based on the idea that there's an equity based on something, based on some injustice in the past, and there must be something done to balance the scales. And if the guilt of the people who enjoy the status quo helps to fulfill that idea, fine.
But it actually hasn't. It hasn't helped at all in the end.
It helped a little, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, it looks like you can lead a kid to health food, but you can't make him eat it. Duh. At least not in some Pennsylvania high schools. Students there are boycotting school lunches rather than eat food that's lower in fat and sugar. A school official said, quote, "We do have some grumbling from kids who want pizza and fries for lunch every day, but it's not going to happen," he said with glee and a barely suppressed chuckle. Okay, my favorite quote out of this whole story comes from student Stacy Armstrong. She says, quote, "We're not interested in good nutrition, we're teens." Exactly. So fight the battles you can win. You can't make teens eat broccoli, but you can teach them grammar. Who cares about what they're eating? Cram the information into their heads. That's your job as an educator.
Okay, fine, but children, and this is they should be able to eat whatever they want.
Yes,
it's ridiculous.
Thank you, Max.
However, the best argument I could make is, since children are not respected in this culture, but the laws of the United States do not respect children as people, as adults who can make up their own mind about things, they're not allowed to make up their mind about what they want to eat either. Not in public schools, not where taxpayer money goes.
Well, I'm kind of against student revolts generally, because they're usually pretty annoying. But in this case, good for them. Boycott those wholesome macrobiotic lunches, right? Hold out for your Snickers bars. You deserve them.
Yes, they do.
You've got a friend in me. And in you, Max Kellerman.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Stay tuned. There's still plenty more ahead on The Situation. Another supreme decision for the president. But why is his latest choice so hard to judge?
We'll have to wait and see on Mrs. Meyer.
More money problems for Tom DeLay. Is this another attempt by Democrats to bring the House down?
Well, I'm confident that a fair jury will say that Tom DeLay didn't do anything wrong.
Plus, a truly tasteless endeavor. Wait till you see what's hopping in St. Louis.
What you need is a change of habit.
And from China, an inspiring lesson for those of you battling a monkey on your back. It's all ahead on The Situation.
It is a very bold and aggressive agenda.
Tomorrow, Today's Family, the child care dilemma. What's best for your baby? Surprising new answers. And Wednesday, President Bill Clinton on Today.
Most Most homes are leaking energy through drafty windows, poorly insulated walls, inefficient furnaces and appliances. At PGE, we can help. We'll explain how to save energy by making your home more efficient and even connect you with sources for incentives and tax credits on the improvements you make. So call. We'll help you turn things around.
Portland General Electric. We do this every day.
Search through hundreds of thousands of used cars across the U.S. or within a few miles. Online at bhix.com. Just click Auto on Comcast.net.
Life doesn't stand still, and neither do we. That's why families trust Lowe's for installation. Not because we give you your very own project management teams to guide you and help you throughout the entire process, which we do, or because our installers are certified and fully insured, or because Lowe's guarantees you'll be satisfied with our installation service on everything we install. You see, at Lowe's, improving home improvement never ends. Now get all over-the-range microwaves installed for just $59.
Have a good day. See you tonight.
Okay.
Introducing the all-new Suzuki Grand Vitara. You want more out of life? We're giving you the green light. Go.
Here's a fun fact. Erected in 1963, the walnut stands 15 feet high.
I'll be in the car.
Go where you want with Drive Free at Avis.
Orca! Orca! Oh, I love Orca.
I thought you loved the humpback.
I recently changed my mind.
But I thought we established that the Orca was mine.
Now rent 3 times and get a free weekend on us. Find our lowest prices at avis.com.
Welcome back. Joining us for the very first time, straight from Los Angeles and Philadelphia and probably many other places, we welcome MSNBC contributor Flavia Colgan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So, cognitive disconnect here. I get the press release via email this morning from the RNC or some official Republican group describing Harriet Miers as, quote, a female trailblazer. And I should support her.
A pit bull in size 6
Yeah, but
shoes.
a female, because this is another first for women, even though it's not. My question is, who are they appealing to? And let me answer my own question. Nobody! They are doing to conservatives what the Democratic Party does to minority voters, taking them completely for granted. You're always going to vote for us, so just be quiet, right?
But, I mean, I was just shocked. Your producer called me this morning, and surprise, surprise, I was in meetings that have nothing to do with politics. I do other things, so I hadn't even heard about it. And she didn't have time to tell me who it was, and I just said, look, this is why we have elections. The president won. He gets to pick his people. If she's qualified, if the person's qualified, it's not my fight, so long as they're not some big ideologue. Went home, looked on the internet, saw who it was. I speed dialed your producer back so fast, and I said, if Tucker is going to defend this choice, tell him to be ready for a WWF SmackDown. This is outrageous. I mean, this is like telling someone who's on a T-ball team, by the way, starting tomorrow, you're going to be pitching for the World Series and every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's not...
Someone has no experience. Didn't we learn anything from Mike Brown? You don't put cronies and political friends into very important positions.
And it's not even commentary on her decency as a person, which is, according to everyone who knows her, obvious, and apparently she's just a kind, fair person. But that, again, is immaterial. This is playing exactly to the age-old criticism of Bush that he values loyalty and personal loyalty to him above all else.
Blind loyalty. And look, it didn't do LBJ any good to do this, to pick someone that's so close to. And she has had some problems. When she was at the lottery, when she's the head of her law firm, all scandal-ridden. And David Frum said today that she said that Bush was, quote-unquote, the most intelligent man she had ever met. Now, look, I'm not in the camp who thinks Bush is an idiot. You don't become president by being an idiot. But for someone who hasn't mastered his own language to be called the most brilliant man in history,
I think that's
is
fair.
a bit of a stretch.
You could say
loyalty.
Bush is the most decent, Bush has the best instincts. Bush is the most
that
decisive.
is-
Of course. Do you think, though, you get the sense Republicans always feel this way. They always think, well, you know, if we make enough accommodations, the left will sort of like us. But the left won't ever like Bush. Period. He gains nothing from his enemies, does he?
No, but look, no one wins. This person's not qualified. When I first saw this, I thought, is this a Landy Guinier move? I mean, is he putting someone out there just to bring him down so he can seem like? But that's not Bush's kind of game. I don't think he thinks that way. But I can't imagine the conservatives aren't happy. I mean, you have I'm agreeing with Pat Buchanan, David from Bill Frist's Old Aid today. It seems like, you know, the left's progressives. I mean, I can't see anyone besides her parents and her brother in Austin or wherever they are that are supporting this woman.
Well, I will say, though, just in the defense of somebody, the criticism from the right is principled. The criticism from the left is just like, ah.
Oh, I totally disagree with you. The criticism from the left, I think, is very legitimate, which is this person is being nominated to the highest court in the land, and she's never sat on a bench. And yes, okay, Rehnquist didn't sit on a bench. She's not a legal scholar. She's not a legal mind. You can criticize John Roberts. I may disagree with everything he has to stand for, or stands for. The man is a genius, period. And everybody who knows him knows that. What has this woman done?
I think the bottom line, apart even from...
And she's close to him. She's his general counsel.
Right. It's bad politics. I'll tell you someone who understands politics better, Tom DeLay. Not probably anybody's favorite person, not personally popular even in Washington, even among Republicans, even among conservative Republicans on the Hill. Not personally all that popular. But he, at the very beginning of this process, he was indicted last week, and he immediately came out of the box and said, this is political.
Bring it on.
And that was smart. And it turns out today, more evidence that, in fact, was political. He was re-indicted by a brand-new grand jury. You know, we don't have the time or the space, or probably the attention span of anybody to go into the details of it. But the closer you look at this, the more obvious it is. It is political, and I think he was very smart for saying that.
Well, look, he's a Gary Hart who's gotten away with it. Basically said, bring it on, bring it on. I mean, the guy's called the Hammer for a reason. I mean, he's a dirty politician who plays hardball. He shouldn't be surprised when people are playing him at his own game. And look,
wait a second. No. Prosecutors aren't supposed to prosecute people because they don't like their politics.
Well, first of all, it smells bad, it looks bad. You're right. We'll never know for sure. But here's what saddens me about this whole thing. And I don't take glee, by the way, in DeLay going down. I'll tell you that right now, I don't. And the reason is, one, I think we should be focused on real campaign finance reform, not bringing down someone who's just more grossly doing something that everyone's trying to do, which is to get, find loopholes in campaign finance. Secondly, it shows politicians on both aisles that this works. Going after people, getting big headlines. They should do in Washington, D.C. what we send them and pay them to do. Sit in a room and create bills that are going to improve our lives. And third, and worstly, this is the worst of all of it, because they just came from a young professionals conference, and this is the type of thing that erodes people's confidence in politics, civic engagement, institutions across the board. And I know you think that less is more when it comes to voting, but I disagree with you on that. I think the more people that vote, the stronger our democracy
I'm not against voting, obviously. I just think that people ought to know what they're voting for. I don't vote for a lot of things because I don't fully understand them. I do think, though, if you disagree with somebody's politics, you ought to engage that person on political terms. You ought to say, I disagree with what you're saying, and here's why. Here's a better case. Here's a better argument. Here's why your policies are wrong and mine are right. You shouldn't immediately appeal to someone with a gun, the federal government, a prosecutor, the police, to settle what is essentially a political dispute. You wrote, I thought, a really interesting op-ed today in which you lay out the case for why the Democrats ought to appeal to religious people. Most Americans are religious, and the Democrats lose the religious vote dramatically.
Bill Clinton didn't, but recently. Bill Clinton won the majority of the evangelical Christian vote. That's a fact.
I don't think that's right, but we don't have time. We don't have Google on the set. Okay, but look, the point is, the more often you go to church, the more likely you are to vote Republican as it stands. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact Democrats often seem, fairly or not, hostile to organized religion, at least to traditional organized religion.
I agree, and look, I just went on the Huffington Post before I came on here, and again, I saw the posts against my op-ed saying, oh, Flavia, there shouldn't be more religion. People that are religious always support the war in Iraq, so forth and so on. It's simply not true. I mean, one of the things I talk about in this article is that as someone who's a spiritual religious person, I spent years studying divinity at Harvard, as you know, it drives me bonkers when the Republicans pretend like God or religion is somehow Republican. I mean, when you look at the Sudan, right, human rights, who was there first? Evangelical Christians on the ground talking about this issue long before the Congressional Black Caucus. Environmental issues, 10 years ago, they did billboards all along the Rust Belt that said, what would Jesus drive? Still the only slogan I remember to this day.
Probably.
The Pope, what did he come to speak to Bush about? not pornography.
The
he
war in
came to
Iraq.
ask him
But hold
not
on.
to go to the war in
The
Iraq.
bottom line is on the symbolic issues. The Pledge of Allegiance, it's a small thing, but it matters people symbolically. It's always the left that's saying, it's a theocracy because we say under God. Right?
But there are a
Exactly.
lot of other issues.
Right.
And did that, look, I served as chief of staff for Lieutenant Governor in Pennsylvania, right? One of the things that does is oversee the Board of Pardons. Do you think I got that many calls from Mike Farrell, Alec Baldwin? No. I'll tell you who is on the forefront lobbying against the death penalty. Priests and nuns every day. The sooner Democrats realize that they have more in common with people of faith and get out of L.A. and New York and realize that Pat Robertson and other crackpots on the right and the religious community do not represent people of faith in America, the better off they will be politically, and I would say the better off they'll be just on a human level to get that.
There's some crackpots on the religious left, but we can invite some of those on later to prove
I
the
wouldn't
point.
deny it. Equal opportunity crackpots all around.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Flavia. Still out of the situation, a New York State commission wants more slavery taught in public schools. Critics crying political correctness. The man leading the movement to rewrite your kids' textbooks joins us here next live.
When the biggest names in pop music sit down to play for themselves, they play Unplugged. The best acoustic album in the world ever.
I fell in love with a boy. I fell in love.
All your favorite hits from your favorite artists, as if they were sitting right across the room. This one goes out to R.E.M., Coldplay, Joss Stone, Ben Harper, Dirty Vegas, Radiohead, Crowded House, Amos Lee, and more.
I am at ease in the arms of a woman. Whenever I fall at your feet.
The best acoustic album in the world ever. 18 classics, including several hard-to-find recordings from the biggest names in contemporary rock, all on one intimate CD.
Green plastic watering can.
Enjoy the hits without the heavy electronics.
Perfection is rubber plant. All this talk of getting on.
The best acoustic album in the world ever. It's the intimate side of your favorite artists.
This silver lining, keep it in your own sweet head. Days go by and
Discover the softer side of your favorite hits with this refreshing collection of acoustic recordings.
without you.
Take the edge off and get unplugged with the best acoustic album in the world ever. Call now to order the best acoustic album in the world ever on CD for $18.98 plus $4.95 shipping and handling. Or order online at tvatlas.com. Rush delivery available. Call now.
Coming up, if you are holding your breath waiting for Paris Hilton's engagement to end, you may now exhale. We've got details of a Parisian breakup on the cutting room floor. Plus, Tucker dials into the viewer voicemail.
You just can't afford to miss that.
Best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine. Wait till the warm-up's underway.
Wherever business takes you, Best Western is there. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain.
Stay at Best Western this fall and earn double reward points or miles. AAA members can earn triple points.
Three climate zones.
How's he doing back there?
3 rows of seats. So everyone can travel in comfort.
He's fine.
The all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command.
New commission in the state of New York is examining whether or not students in public schools are being taught enough about slavery. The Amistad Commission, named for the famous slave ship, is pushing for classroom emphasis on, quote, the physical and psychological terrorism of the African slave trade. Critics say the commission is using a politically correct agenda to circumvent the state board that sets curriculum. I'm joined now by Democratic New York City Assemblyman Keith Wright. He's the author of the Amistad Bill. Assemblyman, thanks for coming on.
Good evening. Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you, Tucker.
I'm all for history, and I think kids should know the history of slavery. I think all Americans ought to. But why at this point, how is this going to help prepare kids better for adulthood and the job market? And what is this going to do for kids?
Well, I think what it will do for children, especially here in New York, it will create a commission that will, I guess, make a comprehensive, thorough examination of slavery. I don't think slavery, you have to remember, is the foundation, it's the bedrock upon which this country was built upon. The free labor built our cities.
Parts of this country.
Well, for the most part,
there was
most
no
of the
slavery
country.
in northern New England, for instance.
Okay, northern New England. There was slavery here in New York State.
Right.
There was definitely slavery in New York State, and I don't think it's really been thoroughly examined. We haven't even reached the tip of the iceberg in terms of what children study and what they know about slavery and how, in fact, it did build this country.
Okay, so
but for slavery, we would not even have an American.
Okay, that may be true. I think that's something that's been debated for a long time, and you may be absolutely right. But what's the point? I mean, of all the things kids need to know to grow up and become productive members of society, get a decent job, be good parents, how is this specific set of facts going to help them do that?
As I said, I mean, slavery is the bedrock upon which America was founded.
So America's corrupt, is that the point?
If you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat the failures of the past. And add to the fact that because of slavery, if we study slavery, we will probably have a more tolerant society. And right now, as you know, Tucker, we do not live in one of the most tolerant societies here in America.
Well, that's a total crock, actually, Assemblyman.
Oh,
Having been to countries all over the world, I know a lot about the world, and I can promise you this is, for all its many faults that we talk about every night on this show.
And we do have many faults.
We certainly do. But this is one of the most tolerant countries in the world. Now,
that's something we can debate ad nauseam.
Okay. Well, let me put your, seems to me, reasonable desire to get kids educated about a facet of American history up against a current fact, and that is that 35% of black students in New York State graduated high school. 35%. That's a kind of a tragic figure. Not kind of a tragic figure. It's out and out a tragic figure. How is this going to help change that figure?
Well, actually, it would probably improve graduation rates. And this goes to my point, especially in New York. Our public school system has failed our children in so many respects. You know, if I were a student, I would look toward suing the educational system for educational malpractice in so many ways. As a matter of fact, there is a lawsuit pending that the governor of New York keeps appealing, talking about how our kids have been shortchanged. Kids have been shortchanged throughout the state of New York.
I totally believe that. But if I'm an employer and you come to me and you say, I know a ton about the history of slavery in America, I'll say, that's great. But what do you know about math? Can you write a coherent essay? Are you well-read in other subjects? And if all you know about is one facet of American history, I'm sorry, I'm not hiring you.
Well, we're not just talking one part of American history. We're talking about the main part of American history, and that being slavery, why this country was built. And certainly, we have not done enough in all of these years to educate children about slavery here in New York and throughout these United States.
All right. New York Assemblyman Keith Wright, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, Tucker. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Coming up, were victims of Hurricane Katrina wrong to ever expect the federal government to come to their rescue? Of course they were. But I'll bat that around with a call when we check the situation voicemail. Next.
They are the kings and queens, the potentates of the road. We recognize them by their restless wing-tipped feet. We support them with new, thicker mattresses and lay the freshest fine white linens at their feet. An offering of respect. Our beds, ourselves, we've changed it all for them. Rest well, my liege. Rest well.
Long ago, nature had this big idea. Bring 8 vegetables together into a single bottle. This powerful source of vitamins and minerals awakened our bodies. inspired our minds, helping us even today to evolve and improve. A juice so alive with vegetable nutrition, it changes how we live and to how we thrive. V8 100% vegetable juice. Don't just live, thrive.
Right now, Oregon kids are becoming better readers thanks to the efforts of the Portland New Car Dealers Association. Through their partnership with Operation Outreach, your local new car dealers help get books to kids who don't have books at home. Teachers are getting supplemental training materials, and Oregon kids are getting a chance to succeed and excel. Feels good to know our kids benefit from the generous support of the Metro Portland New Car Dealers, Operation Outreach, and Comcast Cable, making a difference for Oregon's kids.
If the governor knew the right thing to do, he'd put jobs in the hands of Oregonians. If you're going to make a rational decision, you have to look at logic, you have to look at numbers, you have to look at the law. In fact, Oregon's Constitution guarantees that. You don't back down from principles like that.
You don't have to see it his way, but you've got to see it. Have a look into the world of Lars Larson. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on CNW 14.
Message to all CNA insurance policyholders. If your business is affected by Hurricanes Katrina or Rita and you can't reach your agent directly, call the CNA Catastrophe Operations Center at 877-CNA-ASAP.
New Promise Buttery Spread helps maintain a healthy heart when eaten instead of butter or margarine. And now it also has heart health essentials and no trans fat. No wonder hearts are beating louder. New Promise Buttery Spread, taking your health to heart.
MSNBC next. Keith has the bizarre story of one woman busted for not bringing a kid to the park on Countdown with Keith Olbermann. MSNBC next. MSNBC tomorrow. Chris shows you why President Bush's latest choice for the Supreme Court could kick off the fiercest Capitol Hill battle of his presidency, and why some of the toughest opponents could be from the president's own party. The battle begins on Hardball with Chris Matthews. MSNBC tomorrow at 7.
Welcome back. It's that time again, voicemail time. Every night we recklessly hand out our number. Every night you call, and we play what you say. Here we go.
Hey, Tucker, this is Mike from Bobtown, Pennsylvania. If you want to know all you need to know about the Iraqi military, when they'll be able to step up, how many are ready now, just pull our troops out and tell them that the only way we'll step in to help them out again is if it's a foreign power invading them. Sink or swim time, that's it.
Mike, I don't think that's such a bad idea. I don't know if you're being facetious or not, but I think that might actually work. There's not a huge incentive for the Iraqi military to step up as long as, you know, there are more than 100,000 American troops there. That seems like a reckless thing to do. Is it more reckless than invading in the first place? Probably not. Stop.
Hi, Tucker. This is Gordon calling from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. A few nights ago, I heard you say that people shouldn't expect the government to come save them right before or after a disaster. I couldn't agree more, and I think you're the only one I've heard make that point, so good for you. As a matter of fact, I don't want a government in office that wants me to depend on it to bring me a bottle of water.
Gordon, I think of course I agree with you, since you're agreeing with me. I mean, I think it would have been nice had the government shown up, and when we were down there, I was offended by the slow government response, because I think they have made a promise to people, and particularly poor people, people who are dependent on the government anyway, that they're going to come and to the rescue. But I don't think people should believe the promise in the first place. In the end, you're responsible for yourself and your family. Period. Never forget that. That's not an ideological point. That's the truth. It's a practical point. So don't expect someone to come and rescue. If somebody does, great. It's your lucky day. But it's most likely not going to be your lucky day. Keep that in mind. Next up.
This is Neil, Vienna, Virginia. Hey, buddy, your answer to bullying, an eye for an eye makes the world blind, my friend. Your answer is if a guy bullies you, punch him in the face. All we would have is playgrounds full of wars, my friend. Peace at its best.
No, that's not peace, Neil. That's capitulation and humiliation. If someone's pushing you around, you got to make them stop. Sorry, I'm not endorsing fighting, but you got to stop the bully, because he's not going to stop with you. He'll go bully the next guy. And you don't feel good about yourself if you sit and take it from a kid on the playground or from a coworker, from your boss, or from the federal government. You don't feel good about yourself when you swallow someone else's, BS like that. You got to put an end to it right away. Sorry, that's your duty. There's really no way around it. Next up.
How you doing, Tucker? Enjoy your show. This is Chad Rogers. I live in Mulberry, Indiana. It was nice to see kind of a lighter story in journalism with all the things that's been going on the Gulf Coast and whatnot. But in the future, I don't think we have to go down that canine telepathic highway. That was pretty rude for you to actually let your intelligent viewers think that you were believing that she was talking to your puppy during the interview.
You want to hear something funny, Chad? I actually did believe it. I did believe it, and when I got home Friday night, believe it or not, because it's earlier on the West Coast, I called her, and she told me more about my elderly golden retriever who she said felt abandoned. And yeah, I kind of do believe it. I can admit that since this is a late-night show. It's now 11:53 and 23 seconds. I can tell you, Chad, sitting at home, just between us, yeah, I think there's something to what she said. I know it's embarrassing to admit that in public, but I'm gonna. I like that segment. It wasn't light to me. It was actually kind of heavy. I can't explain why she talks to dogs, but, you know, I think there may be something there. All right. Tell us what you think. Give us a call at 1-877-T-Carlson. That's 1-877-822-7576. Still ahead, who knew they made Nicorette for chimpanzees? The world's most famous smoking primate kicks the habit. We'll tell you what made her put down the Newports when we visit the cutting room floor.
Everybody goes and smoke a little loud. Smoking in the boys.
Technology has made your morning easier. Why not your shave? The new Philips Norelco Smart Touch XL is designed to shave more with every touch, with 3 shaving rings in each shaving head. And because now it pivots to stay on your face and neck, even tricky hairs are cut. Make every stroke count. Philips Norelco.
He's so excited.
The oats were larger.
Those apples you can really taste them.
The raisins are chewy.
It's got body to it.
It has body to it, that's right.
It's Quaker Oatmeal Supreme.
Oh, I thought they were just great. It's something to smile about.
At Hyatt Hotels and Resorts, you'll find Wi-Fi in the guest room and beyond. Here, productivity doesn't require proximity.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
My doctor said my type 2 diabetes was out of control. That high blood sugar increased my risk of serious complications. He said I better diet, exercise, take my medicine. Yeah. I heard it all before. Well, maybe I should have listened.
Every year, up to 24,000 people lose their eyesight to diabetes. Even more at risk for stroke, heart attack, and limb loss. If you have high blood sugar, get help. Call or visit diabetes.com.
Welcome back. You've waited 54 minutes for it, but now it's time. The cutting room floor producer Willie Geist is here with all the stories we couldn't pack in.
Hey,
Willie?
Tucker, so you spent the weekend on the phone with Dr. Monica?
Yes, okay. You caught me. I did call the pet psychic Friday night at home.
Sounds like a dream Indian summer weekend. That's great. Enjoy.
Thank you, Willie. Well, that loud gasp you heard on Saturday was the world's stunned reaction to the news that Paris Hilton has broken off her 5-month engagement to Greek shipping heir, and aren't all Greek shipping heirs, also named Paris. The 24-year-old Hilton confirmed to Us Weekly magazine, which, it goes without saying, is never wrong, that she is not ready for marriage and she didn't want to end up divorced. Still unclear what will happen to her 24-carat, $5 million engagement ring.
Tucker, if you took the under on 6 months, you're a big winner tonight. You're happy.
Yes, I think.
Unfortunately, I took the over. I'm a believer in Paris. I thought this was the guy for her, and I'm red in the face here. And I lost a lot of money.
So I believe in the dog psychic. You believe in Paris.
I do.
Which one's more foolish?
I'm much worse.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's time now for this week's evidence that the Guinness Book of World Records does, in fact, need to be abridged. Contestants gathered at the St. Louis Science Center over the weekend to make a run at the world record for spitting a cricket. Oof. That's right, they're spitting crickets, the insects, for distance. The current record holder, Danny Cap, showed up to break his mark of 30 feet, but he and the rest of the people who spit crickets for fun came up short.
I think Danny's record's going to stand for a long, long time. That's just too impressive, 30 feet. I wonder how these people acquired this talent. You know what I mean? I mean, you're sitting in the yard eating insects, and how do you...
It's sort of like a Reese's peanut butter cup. One day the chocolate fell into the peanut butter. One day a cricket flew into somebody's mouth, and...
You get, if you're Danny Caps, I guess I tip my cap to you, but I have to wonder why you're so
That's
skilled
almost
at this.
too weird for the Guinness Book.
It is.
Well, there are the remarkable 16-year-olds who are taking up calculus, captaining the soccer team, and running student government. Then there are the remarkable 16-year-olds who are walking tightropes backwards and blindfolded while dangling over hungry lions, tigers, and jaguars. You're looking at the latter. It took just 11 minutes for this teenager to make it the full 200 yards across the big cat enclosure at the Beijing Wildlife Park.
My goodness, the stakes are high. Although I will say I think the big cats might be a little gratuitous. You're already doing it without a net, so you're going to plunge to your death as it is, and then you just want to be mauled by big cats on top of it. I think it's just a little too much showmanship.
They play for keeps in China. They have none of those workplace safety regulations.
No, or child labor laws.
Well, Ai, the Chinese smoking chimp, is a dear friend of this show, and we're happy to report tonight that she has kicked the habit completely. You'll remember that Ai began smoking 16 years ago by picking up the unfinished cigarettes of zoo visitors. The 27-year-old chimp has now sworn off the smokes in favor of morning walks and a sensible diet of dumplings and bananas.
This is a nice step, Tucker. Now, if we can just get her off the smack, we'll have something. That's the next mountain to climb. Let's celebrate this.
Can I recommend Nicorette to Ai? Well, attention, citizens of Seattle. The government wants to take away your constitutionally protected right to receive a lap dance. Under new rules proposed by the mayor and supported by the city council, dancers would have to stay 4 feet away from customers. Private rooms would be banned. Customers could not give money directly to the entertainers. City council meetings have drawn hundreds of concerned strippers, and I can understand why.
Tucker, I feel about lap dances the way you feel about guns, from my cold, dead hands. Government, hands off my lap dances.
First they came for the lap dancers. Willie Geist. That's the situation for tonight. Thank you.